on a beat, bitch.
Alright, so we're going to get right into it. I'm going to start by removing the tensioner bolt as well as the second bolt that is holding up that tension bolt there. Remove that whole assembly. That way you can easily remove the pump. As you see, there's that secondary piece there from the tensioner bolt. I don't know what that's called, but yeah, go ahead and remove that. That sits right in that slot area slash hole at the bottom of the pump of that bracket. So you want to go ahead and loosen it all the way off to get that bolt, tensioner bolt, out the way. And definitely put your hardware back together. You don't want to lose these parts. These aren't easy to come by. They need to be exact size in order for everything to fit properly. So we're also going to get the rest of the bolts out the way. As you can see, I'm trying to locate all of them. It's slightly loose, but as you can see, it's still tight because there's a few more bolts I need to remove, which is that left one right there. I think that's a 12, 13 or 14 millimeter. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know that's kind of a wide range, but one of those three. Go ahead and loosen that and keep that shorter bolt. And then there's a longer bolt in between the pulley holes there that you want to loosen. I believe that looks like a 14 to me. But yeah, that one is a longer bolt and the other one is a short one, so keep that in mind. Then I went ahead and used a flathead to kind of pry the pulley out, make sure I'm not yanking it out. That way I don't miss anything that I needed to remove. So prying it out kind of became the simpler solution there. As you can see now, I finally fully have it out the way. Go ahead and place it on the ground. It's all leaky everywhere. But yeah, you can go to these next 3 bolts here. I believe those are 14s. I'm gonna go ahead and crank those off. And that sits right on the back lower side of the pump. As you can see, it wasn't too hard to get off, but it did require a little strength to kind of get those loosened and out. Popped it right off, straight and forward. Now we're gonna focus on the hot side now. Fully get the whole exhaust manifold off as well as the turbo. Gonna take that whole assembly off together. That way we don't have to, do everything separately. I will be doing a separate video on that, by the way, so keep up on that one. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and start on the bottom side. The oil drain hose right there, that is where the oil drains out of the turbo. You want to go ahead and loosen that clamp there. Went ahead and decided to put it back on just so I don't make a mess. And then I'm gonna just start by getting the motor mount off. Forgot I needed to remove that first, so go ahead and crank those off. I think those are 14s. As you can see, this is the hot side engine mount. There's a heat plate that's right there on that mount. That's how you'll know the difference. But I went ahead and used that bar there to kind of give me some leverage and made the job a lot easier. As you can see, I've already been starting to use it, so it's been helpful just to kind of crank those off super easy instead of me trying to struggle to get them off. But I think there's 4 bolts there that you need to remove. And then I went ahead and just loosened them before I started fully removing it. But yeah, you knock those 4 bolts out to get that off, straight them forward. Then you want to caress that water drain plug from the turbo. Yeah, so that's the water drain from exiting the turbo into the heater core system. I'm not sure why it was done like that, but I mean, I guess that's the simplest way to do it without having to do too much work. As you can see, there's not an ANS on that side. It's kind of just connected directly to the hard line. And then this hose right here on the outside that's draining from the plug or from the block into the turbo, and then exits on the opposite side where that hose I just removed. So pretty simple system. Just keep those in mind while you're removing the whole system. But anyways, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get this oil drain plug disconnected as well. That is where the oil feeds out of the block into the motor. I think that is a 14 as well. You don't want to lose those crush washers in between. Make sure you keep all your hardware together. And you definitely don't want to lose that bolt either. That kind of feeds the oil through it. Had to use a wrench to loosen up the top side of that AN fitting there for the coolant. So that, I believe, it exits out of the block into the turbo, and then the hose I removed earlier that's in the heater hose, it enters back into the water system that way. Had to pull out the extendo and lever as well to give me some leverage to start on this exhaust manifold here. I think those are either 12 or 14. It's in between that 12 and 14 range. I don't know why. I should have just documented what I used, but it's definitely between 12 and 14. As you can see, that leverage has definitely helped me. I had to get the little hook there, engine hook, out the way before I actually fully started on the exhaust mount, just to give me some clearance. As you can see, that leverage has really been helpful. Then I had to switch over to a wrench to kind of get in between those harder spots. But you know, it wasn't too bad of a job to get this done. As you can see, I also left those last two nuts on just so I don't drop the whole thing. I just kept those loose and then removed those last. The exhaust manifold is gonna sit on those studs there, but you just wanna be careful while you're doing this whole thing so you don't drop anything. But as you can see, that easily came off. Wasn't too hard to do. And that's pretty much it for the hot side that I'm gonna do before I start cleaning. I'm gonna do something with the water next system. There are some issues I wanna show you guys, and then leave the cash system alone. And I'm also gonna keep the oil dipstick on there as well. It's already nice and tight, but I'm gonna plug up these holes that are open, and then focus on starting to clean up the motor, get a little pressure wash, kind of figure out how to get all this debris off. So stay tuned for what I have up next for that. And then I'm gonna also show you guys the install of everything once I get everything cleaned up.